Okay, let's talk about something we've probably all been through, that incredibly awkward, totally misunderstood thing called nervous laughter. You know the feeling, right? Your brain just seems to betray you in the most serious moment imaginable. But what if I told you that moment wasn't a failure at all? What if it was actually a sign that your brain was working overtime to protect you?
So let's just put ourselves in that moment. Picture it. The room is dead silent, the mood is heavy. And then, out of nowhere, you feel it. It's this uncontrollable bubble of laughter just rising up in your chest. It is a deeply, deeply human and profoundly confusing experience.
I mean, really think about it for a second. Maybe it was at a funeral or in the middle of a super critical meeting at work, or worse, when someone was telling you some really bad news. And that laugh just escapes. And in that split second, every single eye in the room is on you. It's a moment of pure social horror.
And that feeling that washes over you right after, oh, it's just immediate guilt. You start replaying it over and over in your head, thinking, I must not have any empathy, or, man, something is seriously wrong with me. Society has basically taught us that laughing when things are serious is a huge sign of disrespect, or that you're just immature. But here is where we need to completely flip our understanding of this. Because what if that laugh wasn't a choice? What if instead of it being some kind of character flaw, it was actually an involuntary survival mechanism? Well, that is exactly what psychology suggests is happening. So, to really get this, we've got to pop the hood and look at what's going on inside your nervous system. And trust me, this has nothing to do with humor. This is all about biology. It really all comes down to a part of your body called the parasympathetic system. The easiest way to think about it is as your body's calm down crew. See, when you get hit with an intense emotion, like shock or anxiety, your body goes into high alert. Laughter, believe it or not, physically forces you to exhale, and that action kicks this system into gear. It acts like a giant release valve that slams the brakes on all that stress. It's the very same reason people might suddenly burst into tears or start shaking. It's just the body's way of physically getting rid of all that overwhelming emotional energy. And here's the key thing to get. Your brain isn't thinking, haha, this is funny. It's thinking, whoa, emotional tension is dangerously high. I need to release it now. Laughter is just the fastest, most effective tool it has in that moment to pull you back from the edge and get things back to normal. It's an automatic biological function, not a choice. In clinical psychology, there's a name for this. It's called displacement. And it works like this. First, you get hit with a feeling that's just too much to handle. Then your brain subconsciously decides that showing raw panic or grief isn't safe or productive. So what does it do? It swaps it out. It displaces all that intense energy into the most opposite reaction it can find, and that's laughter. And if you look at it from another angle, a cognitive one, it's also a way to stop your thoughts from spiraling out of control. In a really traumatic or tense moment, your mind is right on the verge of just shutting down. That sudden burst of laughter can act like a circuit breaker. It gives you just a split second to reset and actually stay functional. So this all leads us to the biggest challenge with nervous laughter, the huge gap between how it looks on the outside and what's really happening on the inside. So let's clear up some of the biggest myths right now. This chart is really the core of it all. What people see as a lack of empathy, it's actually an overflow of emotion. So much emotion that your system literally short circuits. What looks like disrespect or mockery is actually a desperate, subconscious attempt to regain some kind of mental control. And what so many people write off as emotional immaturity, it's often a sign of incredibly high emotional sensitivity. And get this reaction often happens in people who feel things more deeply than others. When you have that high emotional sensitivity, your body just responds way faster to stress. Then you add social pressure to the mix, like being in a really quiet room where everyone expects you to be serious, and that tension can literally make the laughter leak out. It's like a pressure cooker effect. If there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Just because someone's face is smiling doesn't mean their heart isn't breaking. Psychology makes a very clear distinction between emotional expression and emotional understanding. That laugh is about regulation, not disrespect. So, what does all this mean for you? Well, it means we can finally reframe this entire experience. We can stop seeing it as a source of shame and start seeing it as a sign of a really complex and protective mind at work. So let's just say this once and for all. Nervous laughter isn't rude. It isn't immature. It is your brain in real time doing whatever it possibly can to keep you from falling apart under extreme emotional pressure. You know what it is? It's a sign of survival. So, if you are one of the many, many people who has carried around shame or guilt for years because of this involuntary reaction, this is your official permission to let it go. Your mind isn't broken. It was just trying to protect you in the only way it knew how.
Understanding the why behind our own behavior is incredibly empowering. It helps us build compassion for ourselves and for other people too. So the real question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you know this, how will you see yourself and maybe others a little differently?